As you may recall, I put out a video about a month and a half ago out of the 3-4 Cub, and this was a defense that was touted as being one of the best quarterback contained defenses that you could run in Madden 22. In today's video, I'm going to go ahead and one up that out of my favorite defensive formation in Madden 22, the nickel 2-4-5 normal. Let's go ahead and get into it. What's up, guys? Zan from the Zan Madden YouTube channel. In today's video, we're going to be talking about keeping the quarterback in the pocket out of my favorite defensive formation. Now, as you guys know, I am a big proponent of match coverage.
We know. Believe me, we know.
I feel like match coverage is far and away the best coverage that you can call against bunch and a lot of other popular offensive formations that you see frequently in Madden 22. Now, one of the things that a lot of players tend to do against bunch is try to run around with their quarterback and buy the receivers time to get open from the guy that is playing match coverage on them. What you have to do is be able to keep the quarterback in the pocket. And if you can do that, your opponent is going to be in big time trouble. Now, in today's video, we're going to introduce a concept or reintroduce the concept from that 3-4 Cub video out of 2-4-5, which I think is going to make it a better defense all in all. But for today's video, we're going to focus on just running zone and zone drops. If you guys want to run this from match, you guys can learn the match rules and the things that you have to be aware of and apply this video into that match defense, and you'll have a completely shut down coverage and a great way to keep the quarterback in the pocket. So with our depth chart in the nickel 2-4-5, what we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to sub our outside linebackers out of the game in favor of coverage linebackers. So in this formation, this is typically a position where you're going to have those edge rushers, those edge threats. This is going to be more of a control the quarterback, keep him in the pocket style. So we want coverage-based players here. Now, the cool thing about the nickel 2-4-5 is that you can actually put safeties at linebacker in this particular formation, unlike the 3-4 Cub where you were stuck with linebackers to run this concept. This is going to give you better athletes to keep the quarterback in the pocket and chase them down if they do try to run. Now, for this video, I'm going to put Jimmy Ward at one inside linebacker, and I'm going to leave Fred Warner at the other because he's Fred Warner. If we had an inferior inside linebacker, I might go with a speedier coverage safety at this spot instead. Now, our actual pass rushers, we're going to go ahead and kick them inside to the D tackles, where they're going to try to work against offensive guards and centers, which are typically some of the weaker pass protectors. Oftentimes your outside tackles, the left and right tackles, are better at handling premier pass rushers. We're going to kick them inside and see if we can get some mismatches up the middle. And if we do, that's gravy. So let's go ahead and show you guys how this is going to work. We're going to choose the Tampa 2 here. For the sake of zone drops, I want you guys to just understand that naturally, if you're dealing with a corner route like Z spot, you're going to want your blue zones set to 30. We still don't have those in practice mode. We're now 3 months into the game and EA still hasn't given us the tools in practice mode to practice our craft. I don't understand why.
Because they suck!
If you guys are enjoying this free YouTube content, I would strongly urge you to go over to my strategy website. GridironGameplansgg is your one-stop source for all things competitive Madden. Every week in our Vault Update, we take a look at the meta, or the most effective tactics available being used by pro players on the MCS circuit, breaking down not only how and why the pros do what they do, but most importantly, how you can counter those metas when you face them in online gameplay. On top of that, your subscription also includes any and every offensive and defensive game plan released on the website while your subscription is active, and access to our Discord server, where every single Wednesday, we have a live lab session covering the week's Vault content and any questions you guys have about Madden. So make sure you guys head over to GridironGameplansgg. $9.95 per month unlocks the entire website. With this concept, what we're going to do is we're going to be using those inside linebackers, and I'm going to go ahead and base align this. We're going to pinch our defensive line and crash them down. Now, what I like to do from there is global blitz, which is going to blitz all linebackers. And then because the initial linebacker setup was one in which Fred Warner was in a mid read and Jimmy Ward was a vertical hook, when we actually global blitz them, we're going to take this coverage linebacker that we subbed into the edge position. We're going to replace Jimmy Ward's vertical hook with this outside linebacker dropping into the same assignment. Now, Fred Warner was in a mid read, which unfortunately we don't have a mid read assignment for the outside linebacker. But what we can do on this is put him into the vertical hook and then lurk on the nickel corner, which would then be our user in the middle of the field where Fred Warner would have been. Now, last but not least, we're going to go ahead and QB contain, and then we are going to pass commit. Now, it's important to note that when you do this, make sure that it doesn't accidentally reset any of your edge rushers to blitz assignments. You want to make sure that these inside linebackers are the ones that are in the contains. And again, with this, we're going to lurk on the nickel corner, and he'll be responsible for kind of lurk in the middle of the field. Now, the really interesting thing about this concept, if you go back to the 3-4 Cub video, was that we have the ability or the inability from an offensive perspective to double team the player that is actually containing. So you'll notice that the double team mechanic only applies to the defensive lineman. I can't actually hit the stick up and go to the second level. So the player that we would most often double team would be the edge rusher on the right, because Russell Wilson is an escape artist quarterback that is right-handed. So we want to be able to roll out to his arm side and make those accurate throws. Well, we can't actually double team the player that is truly in the contain, which is the inside linebacker, Fred Warner. So when we actually snap this ball, you're going to notice that Fred Warner is going to get perfect leverage on his guy. Now, keep in mind that here with this setup, I would be lurking in the middle of the field with Williams. So just to kind of mimic that, I'm going to stand right here. This is where my user would end up being. And you're going to see that the outside linebackers drop into the vertical hooks, and we keep our contain really, really well. And you see that Fred Warner actually ran all the way around the right tackle. That is not a 100% thing. It does tend to happen a little bit. And I would give you guys the tip that it is actually related to the pursuit rating of your player. The higher the pursuit rating of the player in the contain, oftentimes they'll loop around and do some funky stuff for you. So it might be worth keeping some of those high pursuit linebackers in this spot if you guys want to open up that potential. But again, with this particular setup, all you have to do is put those players in the contains, crash your defensive line inside. You want to put the outside linebackers in zones, so that way the contains, when you contain, end up being those inside linebackers. And then of course you're going to be standing with this guy and lurking the middle of the field. I would not draw him to the middle of the field. That would give away what you were doing. Just kind of lurk with him in the nickel spot and then fly to the middle of the field once the ball is snapped. But again, even if I wanted to slap a double team over here on the right, that is not going to impact how Fred Warner operates, because the guy that you are double teaming does not actually end up rushing. So they end up recovering back to the inside. And there you see Bosa, who was our premier rusher, shedding from the inside and getting his win, which is exactly what we were looking for from our defensive tackles. When we kick those pass rushers inside to D-tackle, we're hoping that they can actually do a good job of winning and giving the quarterback nowhere to escape. And then you see right here that both of our contains are in a perfect spot. Now, how does this apply when we want to go into, say, for instance, the PA boot over meta, which is very, very popular? So many players love to do this. Well, we can kind of do the same drill, right? Where we go ahead and put our outside linebackers into those vert hooks, blitz our inside linebackers, crash our defensive line inside, and then obviously QB contain and pass commit. And then what you're going to see here is that even if they wanted to do the whole delay fade rollout thing, as long as we are pass committing on this, you should see that Fred Warner should be able to keep outside leverage and loop around, at least keeping the quarterback inside. And you see right there that he sheds instantly, and then we have nowhere to run. And you see that Fred Warner is able to make that play. So this should remind you a ton, an absolute ton of that 3-4 Cup video that I put out about 5 or 6 weeks ago here on the channel. If you guys liked today's video, please make sure that you guys give it a thumbs up. I know a lot of you guys have been struggling with PA boot over, keeping quarterbacks in the pocket. I think that this is the ultimate concept that you guys can use nearly in any defense. Honestly, any defense, you should be able to run this concept. But I think it's phenomenal out of the nickel 2-4-5, simply because you can mix in zone drops, you can mix in match coverages. Again, I really think that this is best out of a match coverage based scheme. If you guys want to learn quarters, palms, cover 6, cover 9, cover 6 invert, all the rules, press, off, meg, cut, special, solo, box, all those rules, I break it down. I know it sounds like a lot, but I break it down and make it very, very easy to understand on Gridiron Game Plans. Go check it out. Apply this video into that defense, and I'm telling you, your defense is going to do a complete 180. You're going to be getting way more stops, and you're going to find that offensive players really don't know what to do against this strategy. So I hope that you guys enjoyed today's video. If you did, make sure to give it a thumbs up. We'll see you guys tomorrow with our next one. Until then, this is Zan. Get in the lab and good luck.